All right, we're going to go ahead and start the stream now. Jay,
Okay, sounds good.
I typed in the chat. They know it's going to be just for tests. We still
Okay,
have 2 minutes, 3 minutes to go
gotcha.
till we actually start it.
Am I gonna see your camera or should I just look on YouTube?
It'll be on YouTube.
YouTube, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, okay, they can see us now. This is just an audio check, everybody. Everybody who's in the audience, let me know how we look and sound. We have Coach Jay with us. Coach Jay, do you want to do an audio check on
What's
your
going
end?
on, everybody? Happy to be back. Slow markets. Thanks to Coach Dakota for inviting me back. Hopefully, you can all hear us well, and we'll get the show started soon.
Sounds great. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and put on pause. And we'll be back in about 2 more minutes, Coach Jay. I'm gonna put myself on mute, and then we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Sounds good.
Okay, we're back. As you can see myself. You can see Coach Jay. Let's do another audio check now that it's time and we're getting into it. Let's make sure that we sound good. How are you doing, Coach Jay?
Doing good, Dakota. I'm doing good. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit better. You're a trooper, just being here, but good to be here with you.
I'm actually not feeling any better. I'm feeling actually a little bit worse. I don't know if it's what it is. I have no idea what the heck's going on, but we'll get through it. How did you trade today during FOMC?
I'd traded a little bit before some of the range-bound activity we had before. Took a couple losses, and then I just sat FOMC out. There were some decent trades, but at the time I was already down on the day. Didn't want to expand that loss at all, especially during the most volatile time. So I sat it out, kind of just watched. What about you? I saw you took some trades on during Power Hour. You were able
Yeah,
to
I
catch a
did.
nice long. Yep.
One of our amazing moderators here is like, you sound like crap. I'm not gonna lie. Yes, the audio's good, but my vocals are not. But before I jump into that, welcome to Slow Markets, everybody. Here's our Top Step risk disclosure. We're going to be going over the live markets as always. Everything we say and we do is for educational purposes only. I did take some trades during the FOMC. Had 2 or 3 great winning trades. One really ugly losing one, but overall it was a net positive. I finished the day plus like $4,600.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. That should keep you at the top of that leaderboard. You've been killing it lately. I can't wait for fast markets on Friday. I don't know. I have a feeling we're going to put on a nice trade for everybody. Hopefully, if the market allows it.
Yeah, it's coming soon. It's coming fast too, right?
Yep.
We have we have a key. What is it? Inflation data
Non-farm
coming out, right?
payrolls. Non-farm
Non-farm
payroll on
payrolls.
Friday. So
Oh my
that should give us some
gosh.
volatility before before we get on there.
Let's see. Yeah, non-farm pay. We have unemployment claims tomorrow, and then we
Yep.
have non-farm payrolls and unemployment rates on Friday. This is a week that there's not a single boring day. Tomorrow is a bank holiday in Japan and China as well, so we might not be trading too much in terms of like trading the Nikkei or some of the slow markets tomorrow night. Maybe I take everyone's advice and take a day off. I don't know. We'll see. Earlier, I was feeling great, to be honest. It comes
Yeah.
and goes, and that's the reality. We're traders, and we can take a break, which is great. I want to be here. I feel great. I just don't sound great. How do you feel about today's price action for FOMC? Are you looking at it as bullish, bearish, or neutral? You can see my chart behind me, and it
Yep.
was just 300 points up and then immediately 300 points down.
So Coach Paul would call this violently unchanged. I think we settled maybe 50 points lower than we settled on Tuesday. Um, I don't think much has changed, right? We're still trading in the same range we have been. I think there's still some data to come out for the rest of the week, like we just talked about, that's really going to tell us. But the market does look heavy. We've been talking on at the buzzer about looking at higher time frames, the daily charts, and Coach Paul uses the moving averages. We've had some moving average crosses, and on any of the up days that we've had, it's been on lower volume. And these down days have been pretty heavy volume. So market looks heavy, looks like it needs a pullback. But of course, anything can happen.
Okay, let's switch to your charts and maybe you could explain a little bit. I'm going to lean on you tonight.
Okay.
You're going to do most of the talking if you don't mind. That's going to give my
Sounds good to me.
voice a little bit of a break. That's a positive about having a guest here is you're
Yeah.
going to do the heavy lifting, right? So I'm
Right.
switching to your charts. Give me just 1 second. They can see your
Okay.
charts now.
All right, cool. So I am in a trade that's in the Japanese yen. We'll talk about that one later. But Dakota was just talking about, the market structure today. This is a daily chart on the Nasdaq, right? We're looking at a daily here and two moving averages, right? And I don't use moving averages for intraday trades, but trying to figure out what the market is doing, I'll use them, right? So 20 moving average is the gold one. Purple is the 50. And as you can see, we had the 20 cross below the 50 for the first time in a very long time, right? Since November. And it's kind of using it as a resistance right now. This daily candle is very ugly to me, where we tried to push back above that 20 moving average and couldn't, rejected right at it, that 17,800 level. So we'll see. We'll see what the rest of the week brings. But I think we're almost at that break of structure, right? Especially if we test down towards these 17,200 again. And if we trade through 17K, I think there's a lot of room down.
You just before stream, you said you had a trade going on. Can you show
Yes,
me that?
that is true.
Let's hear.
Yep.
I'm curious.
Yeah. So in the spirit of slow markets, right? And I know you trade the Nikkei.
Yes.
I'm in a short the Japanese yen. If anyone has looked at this market in the last 6 or so months, you know that this market has been under very heavy sell pressure, and I'm just going with the continuation of that trend. There has been, and if we look at a shorter time frame, I have a 30-minute chart up now. Actually, let's pull up the hourly. You can see this white line here is the 200 moving average. Every time we test above that 200 moving average, we get kind of this counter trend move and a pullback. So my short idea was, hey, we just got one, right? We see an injection of buying. It pushes us back up above that 200 moving average. But for whatever reason in the yen, it cannot hold. So I'm looking for a short back down towards this 20-50 moving average, right around settlement. Not a huge trade. I'm only risking about $300 on it, and it's a 2-to-1. So if it does play out, it'll be about a $600 trade. But I did look at I just looked at Financial Juice, and I see we have a Japanese consumer confidence number coming out at 1 a.m. Eastern time. So I'm thinking of whether or not I want to hold this trade through that number.
Okay. And you said that's the Japanese yen USD, right?
Correct.
So I think that's a great point, and there might be some new traders here. There is currency futures that we trade here at Topstep.
Yep.
It's centralized, it's regulated here at Topstep. It's futures markets, and so just because we have traders coming over from like trading currencies, and that's kind of like the Wild West where they're brokers and all that. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. You can come over here at Topstep and you can trade currency futures, which to me, it's just as good, if not better, because it's more regulated, and you have all the benefits of taking advantage of those movements like you are, Coach G.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I see a comment in the chat that says, "Don't let the Bank of Japan clean your clock." I agree with that. Right? We don't know when these interventions, these injections will come. That's why I have a stop in, and worst case scenario, right? If we push all the way up here, it's about a $1,500 trade. I think I'll get stopped out before that, right? I'm going to risk about $300, accept the risk as I put the trade on. And this is one I may just sleep on.
Interesting. Did you trade crude oil today?
I did not. But if anyone was in that short, congratulations.
That was one heck of a short.
Yeah.
Let me switch to my charts.
Okay.
So you guys see my charts. This is a 5-minute chart on crude oil. I did end up trading crude. I tried 2 trades. The first trade I got in at 79.60 right here, and then I took a loss. The second trade I ended up getting in at 79, right around 79, obviously. And that worked out. I closed it early. It was a good trade, and then I didn't touch it since. What do you look at it maybe a longer term aspect in the markets when you're analyzing them, when you're looking to day trade? And I get this question a lot, and maybe you can help me answer it. Is how do you determine your bias going into the day?
Yep. Yeah. So I'm going to start with, I usually start with a 30-minute chart, but I'll have a 30-minute up, and it's so zoomed out that it almost looks like a daily chart. But I just want to identify, we're day trading, right? So I can't hold a position I can't hold it overnight. But just like this, right? If you see, and I kind of picked this up from Coach Paul, moving averages, right? The 20 is below the 50, is below the 200, tells me that the market is in a downtrend. And then for me, I will take a trade on both sides, right? I will buy it or sell it, but it's about identifying where my trade fits with the overall trend, right? So if I'm buying in a market like this, I understand that my price targets have to be a little bit closer. If I'm selling it, I want to sell in good trade location where I can hold on to the trade and capture a bigger part of that trend.
Yeah, that's hard to do. I am such permeable
I know.
sometimes, and sometimes, yeah, you laugh. Everybody at the chat, they laugh. They know. And sometimes I could kind of get caught up on it and
Yeah.
fall in love with being a perma bull and looking for opportunities to buy. That happened to me yesterday, where I was just
Yep.
trying to find areas to buy the market, and I ended up taking a big loss. And then, a trader like yourself, who's a lot less bias, do you find yourself that you take more shorts or more longs, or do you have a bias when it comes to trading these markets?
I try not to. I try not to. I think my best, if I look at my stats, my best trades are short trades. But I try not to have a short bias, especially because we know markets are meant to go up, right? So being the perma bull, when you're right, you're right. I try not to have a bias, and I try to, anytime I'm taking a trade, I try to think, what do the other market participants need, right? Not what do I need, because I'm trading small size and I'm not going to move the market. I try to identify what the other participants are saying and then where I can fit in there. It's why if you're looking at my charts, you'll see time and sales up. I'm reading this pretty much all day. If I'm sitting in a trade to try to find out who the dominant presence is, and I'll just get in line with them.
Okay. Um, so let's dive into it. Other than the USDJPY, do you look at gold or crude oil or the Nikkei at night?
Yeah, so I haven't been putting on a lot of trades during slow markets, but I use the levels that the market sets for my trades during the New York session, right?
Okay.
So I've been looking at all of them. Go ahead.
Well, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go one by one tonight. I
Okay.
mean, we're only 15 minutes in. Let's
Yep.
start on the Nasdaq and
Okay.
let's go back and forth. And we'll do a little bit of analysis on the Nasdaq. You'll go through yours. We'll switch to my charts. I'll go through a little bit of mine. We can talk back and forth on the Nasdaq. Then we'll go to crude oil, and then we'll maybe talk about gold, and then finish it up on the Nikkei. What's your thoughts on that? Where we could just kind of tag team each of the currency
Perfect.
markets.
Sounds good to me.
So,
Sounds good to me.
yep, touch base first. Go ahead. I'll leave it up to you on the Nasdaq.
All right, sounds good. So right now I have a Nasdaq 30-minute chart up. We see the move from the FOMC, right? This 200 moving average is the Great Wall. I heard MP call it during one of the fast market segments. We can see we tested up above it, rejected, and came right back down. Right now in the Nasdaq, I
Real
want to
quick,
sell it.
would you be able to hide that DOM and expand the charts a little bit more for me, please? Perfect. There we go. I think that works. Thank you.
So right now in the Nasdaq, I'm looking at sells, but this feels like selling it in the hole where we are right now. So what I'm looking at is this candle that we did, this close, right? This 30-minute candle that closed. I'm looking to see whether or not 50% of that candle will hold. That level right now is 17,570. Um, and right above that is 17,600. So I don't know that I would put on a trade right now, but I'm looking for, if we open up tomorrow and we are hanging out around this level, I want to see it hold. I want to see buyers get rejected up here, and then I'll look to sell it back to the low of this candle, right? So 17,570 down to about 17,430 ish would be the trade I'm looking for. Right now feels like selling it in the middle of nowhere.
Kind of, kind of like in the middle of the range, right?
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I wanted to lean up against something first, and then I'll look to take a sell there.
Okay. And then going into tomorrow, what are you looking at? Do you have a bias tonight, or do you wait till tomorrow when the market's open?
I'm gonna wait until tomorrow. Let me see something here if I can do this. So let's see.
Because I'm
We
kind of in the
have
same boat as you. Is we're kind of
yeah.
in the middle. But yeah, finish
Yep.
that and I'll switch it to my screen and I'll go over Nasdaq briefly as well.
Yeah, so the way I normally trade is off of volume, and of course, overnight is going to be lower volume. But right now, what I'm looking at is this Asian session opening range, these two purple lines that you see here, and then there's VWAP attached to that range. And as you can see it, VWAP's right in the middle. So the market's really not choosing a direction right now, even though there's price action. Price is moving, but volume's not going with it. So right now, that tells me to stay patient. But when I wake up tomorrow morning, and I've been getting up kind of early, 4 or 5 o'clock New York time, I'll look and see how we're trading in relation to this range, and then try to take a trade from there. But if you want to switch it over to yours, I think you kind of are seeing the same thing I'm seeing, but let's see it from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially the same thing like you said, Coach Jay.
Yep.
That was really a big doji candle, right? Because if we switch it
Yeah.
even from like a daily chart and
Yep.
we look at this as the daily, it was essentially just that, a doji candle. If anything, and maybe this is just that permanent, but that perma bull in me, is that we're at the
Mhm.
bottom of this bullish trend.
Yeah.
Do I dare say that this is a bullish trend? And I'm going to be looking for us to come up and test these highs. That's probably just a bull in me, Coach Jay. But
Yeah.
because we failed to break down and have any follow through from today's lows, and then since we opened up here during the New York or not the New York section, during the Asian session,
Yep.
I'm looking at this as look, we had this nice sell off leading into FOMC. We had FOMC, and now after FOMC, we're starting to gain a little bit of momentum here during the Asian markets, a little bit of a push. So maybe, just maybe, and maybe this, like I said, this is 100% me being a
Yeah.
perma bull.
Yep.
Earnings were great. They really were. From what I was able to see, from what I was able to Google and all of overall, the earnings were a whole lot better than what many was expecting. And now I think
Yep.
that we have the FOMC fear kind of out. Of course, we have the non-farm payroll on Friday, but I think this can start to signal we could get a bit of a green light to start buying and going up and to the right again. We'll see, but that's the way that I'm looking
Yeah.
at the markets, just because we failed to break the low today. And since then, we're already at 1743. And if we zoom into a 60-minute chart, let me see. Let me add more data. It's the same thing because we failed to break this low that we made on April 25th. This is what I was looking at. This was, I say, are we going to break this? Are we going to hold below it? We did not. We essentially made a higher low. And that's the way I'm looking at it. And I know traders will laugh at me all the time because I'm looking at stuff from like a bull's lens. But
There's nothing wrong with
markets been
that.
going up and to the right. Like, that's the reality of it. Markets go up. We're making all-time highs a lot more often than we're making new lows.
Yep. I think what's really important about what you do, Dakota, because you're right, over time, right, and if we zoom out and look at yearly charts, markets are meant to go up and to the right. I think an important question that you ask yourself is, where can we buy it, right? And you can kind of make the joke of, hey, just buy it, but when you're taking your trades, right, you're measuring that, right? It's, hey, I want to buy it with good trade location, and you don't have to be a sniper with your entries, but you're conscious of buying at the highs and what your risk is if and when you do. So I think that's important. I don't think there's anything wrong with trading one side of the market. Coach Paul does it all the time, right? He'll look at a market. If it's in a downtrend, he won't even consider buying it. But if he's selling it, it has to be in good trade location. I think that's exactly what you do here.
Yeah, and whenever I say I'm a perma bull, let's not get that wrong.
Yep.
I'm still about 50-50 on my trades. I went through
Yep.
my statistics last week, or I think it was Monday, and it was really close to 50-50 on my my longs and my shorts. However,
Yeah.
I'm a lot more picky with where I'm shorting it, and I'm looking for a really much better trade entry when I'm looking to get short. But when I'm buying
sense.
it, I'm a little bit more lenient and I give it a little more wiggle room. And it's not about just, oh, just close your eyes and buy, even though sometimes
Yeah.
it's a joke, like you were saying. And it just
Yeah.
feels like the market only goes up because everyone has a retirement account. And when you put money in your retirement account, you're actually putting money in the market as well. Or and we could go into that rabbit hole as well. But essentially, um, yeah, I find in my particular trading style, I do like buying the market a lot more than I like selling it. It's a psychological thing, but I am not prone to selling it. I did place a few great trades to the short side, and everyone's seen those, and they
Yep.
worked out really well for me. But that does not deter from trying to be 100% non-biased when doing my analysis from a pure technical standpoint. And so what I am seeing is, we still have a case for the bulls, even
Hmm.
after today, because sure, it was kind of a nothing. However, overall, we're positive on the day. We are going higher during this Asian session. We're about, just under a 0.5% to the upside. And we are kind of just waiting, right? We could get bad news that could bring the markets down, of course. But
Yep.
essentially, if there's no news, markets tend to go up and to the right. So that's what I'm
Correct.
looking at this on the Nasdaq. I'm looking at this as let me see. You can hear me good. The audio should be okay. Let me make sure.
I think if you could just boost your level just a little bit. But yeah, you sound fine to me.
Yeah, let me do this. Yeah, I'll give me a little bit of a boost. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, gave me a little bit of a
That sounds good.
boost. I need it. But anyway, that's what I'm looking at going in tonight and tomorrow. I'm going to continue to look for better for an opportunity to buy. I seen that today. There was not anything too crazy into the markets, and we did not break the market structure that we've made over the past week, ever since April 21st. We did have that huge negative sell off, like this crazy sell off day, -2%.
Yep.
However, we did fail to break the April 25th low, and we're not making new lows. So essentially, the way I'm looking at the Nasdaq is, we had that huge sell off in April, and then the question was, is this going to be the pullback, and then we have a continuation, or are we just going to be continuing and make higher lows? So I'm looking at this as making higher lows until we break down. And then if we break down, then definitely we could go back down to these lows on April 19th, April 21st. That is around
Yeah.
17,100s. And then if we break that, we could go through and just look to the left and go from there.
Yeah. I really like this level down here. I mean, if we can hold this, I like, again, I look at the market from both sides. Are you looking to take a trade tonight at all?
Um, uh, I'm going to go through these charts one by one. This is the first time
Okay.
I've seen this. They're now
Gotcha.
looking at your charts. So let's move on to crude oil,
All
and
right.
then we'll analyze the Nikkei and then gold. And if I see something I like, I might take it.
Okay. Sounds good. Um, Crude, we'll go to a 30-minute with these moving averages on again. Very strong downtrend that we're in right now over the last 3 or so days, right? 20 moving average below the 50, clear distinction between these lines, right? There's no overlap. When there's overlap, that usually means the market's going to chop around. But these are in a strong trend right now, below the 200 moving average, right? So looking for the sell side, but again, this would be selling in the hole right now. I have what would be 2-day VWAP, which is this yellow line right here. If we could pull up back to the 80s and hold 80 as a resistance, then I would be looking to sell back down towards 79. And if we continue that trend, holding a trade lower. Uh, Shorting here feels like shorting in the hole. You could take the counter trend trade, right? The long back up to 80. Um, but I want to trade one side of this market.
Oil.
Yeah, I'd be looking for a pull up to 80, looking for 80 to hold. and then taking a short from there, and that would put us right under that 2-day VWAP.
And you said you didn't place any trades today, or are you not
Not in
looking?
Crude. Nope, not in Crude.
All right, let me pull up my charts. Give me a second.
Yep.
Yeah, once again, I always start on a higher time frame, Coach Jay. So here's a 60-minute chart, and I'm about the same thing that what you're saying is I would, as much as I want, and like I said, I always look at things from where do we buy, because it's easier for me looking at stuff to where to buy it versus to short the market. I'm a little mixed on crude right now. And the reason being is all spring, if you guys, everybody who was following me in January, February, March, I was looking for a break above $80 a barrel. We did get the break above $80 a barrel. And essentially, and I think Hoag covered this as well, is this is a shoulder, head, shoulder pattern, and we're starting to sell off pretty dang hard. This is a key psychological level. This was a key resistance area. We struggled to break above this $78 a barrel. And so I think we're going to struggle to break below it. And like I said, all I'm looking at is looking for major resistance, like, because this was some major resistance. It took us, November, December, and pretty much all winter and most of spring to break above this level. So are we just going to smash down below it and, immediately starting to find lows? I don't think so. So I'm going to be a little more hesitant to be taking shorts in this zone. I'm going to be looking for reversals and maybe looking for a little bit of a bounce. And like you said, maybe if we get a bit of a bounce and then look for an opportunity to get short to see if the market's going to push it down below and make sure it's sustaining below this level. But this was some strong resistance. There's almost 6 months worth of resistance. We'll see if this resistance will become support, because we really have not had a good test of this resistance other than when we broke out originally around $79 a barrel. Let me go ahead and clear up. As I'm clearing up my charts, I don't have any trade on crude oil because we've already came so far, so what do we call it? Down so far. I don't want to be buying it and I don't want to be selling it. If anything, the risk reward is to the long side for anybody taking trades. It's a lot cheaper of a trade to buy crude oil when we're down closer to this support resistance area than it would be to sell it. Because if you're to sell it now, it's a lot harder for me to.
You set your stop.
Yeah. It's like where do you set your stop? And even if you start to zoom in to like a 60-minute chart, it's still when it comes to a risk reward aspect, it's a lot harder for me because we can very easily see a nice little pop in crude, and we all know with all the political stuff, it just takes one news headline and we're going to be up like $85 a barrel within a day. So
Yeah.
it's
And that's the thing about crude too, right? A lot of this move is news based, right? And even the pullback, right? We're hearing talks of ceasefires and things like that. So, like you said, anything can happen, right? A headline can come out right now and change any perspective we have on the markets. But I agree. The cheap trade right now is the long. I would be thinking trade management. If I took a long, I'd be thinking trade management at that 80 level. Because now that we broke down below it, it's going to take some serious buying to get back above.
Yeah. Yep. Risk management, even though it's a cheap trade and it's good risk reward, it doesn't mean that you have a higher probability of being correct. This is counter trend. If we are buying the market right now here in crude, it's technically counter trend versus what the market's been doing for the month. For the past, if you look at 4 or 5 months, sure, you can say it's bullish still because it's still up and to the right. Technically, if you're looking at it at this standpoint, but from a technical standpoint, I will say that we did break this higher low, and we officially made a new low. So we are transitioning into a bearish market in crude, and so it's much harder to buy it, even though that we're talking about saying that this is a cheaper trade, just because it's a cheap trade and because it has great risk reward doesn't mean it's a high probable trade. And that's what you probably hear me talking all the time, Coach Jay, is we're talking about risk reward versus probabilities.
Yep.
The higher the risk reward, the lower the probability. It typically is, just like with so many different things. So I'm going to leave that one there. I'll pass it off to you in gold, and then let's finish it off with Nikkei.
All right, just real quick, shout out to Ryan in the chat. He said he's in the yen short with me. This yen short's working out pretty well. I'm gonna go over to gold real quick, but we got some. These are anchored VWAPs to yesterday. So if we can sell below those, I think I get the profit target that I'm looking for. Thinking about trailing this stop at some point where this trade is already almost $200 in the profit. I don't know if it makes sense to take a loss on this. I hate going break even, but we'll see. And then we'll move on to gold. All right, I'm going to go same analysis that I did for everything else. But gold is actually doing what I'm looking for the other markets to do before I take a short, right? And we'll see how this one plays out. Gold has been in kind of this, it's a big range, right? It's a wide range. But this kind of range-bound balance activity for the last 5 days or so. And we're right back at the 200 moving average, right? The 20 and the 50 are trending up. I look at this as a pull-up, right, where the market was selling off. I look at this as a pull-up here, and maybe a potential short where, nothing is perfect in the market. So I wouldn't be surprised at a major level test here of 2350. Right, we'll test 2350 coming up to it, see if it acts as a resistance, and then looking to short it there. I get this question a lot. Why don't you, if you're looking for this pull up, why not just take that trade? And I think we said it on Fast Markets the other day, right? That is a trade that is available for you.
But I think we're seeing the Topstep team and Andre and everyone else go through that with the house account. We're like, well, we could sell it when it gets to here, buy it when it gets to there. It's like, well, wait, why don't we just place the trade and use it as a take?
Yeah. It's a tough decision, and it's something you could do. But I don't see, if I bought this here, I'm thinking, where do I set my risk, right? I could go just standard 2 ATR stop, and I'm looking at a 30-minute chart. 2 ATRs on gold would be about 12 points. It's $1,200. I don't know if I want to risk that much on a gold trade right here. But if we push up towards 2350 and the buyers slow down, we can kind of see that's been the highs of this range within a few points, right? It's anywhere from 2350 to 2365. But if I see some exhaustion or rejection in this area, then I could short it back down towards that 20 moving average is what I'm seeing right now.
Right?
Say it again.
You're looking to place a short on gold.
Yeah, I think I just said I'm looking to place a short in every market that we've talked about. Maybe I'm a perma bear.
Yeah. Do you find that gold and crude oil kind of are they correlated to you in any way?
Yeah, I know Hoag has that website that he looks at, but I think they are correlated. Where certain geopolitical news is going to cause an effect in gold that it might in crude oil as well. I haven't really paid attention to the exact correlation, but normally if I'm looking to short gold, I'm looking to short crude. Right? If I'm looking to buy gold, I'm looking to buy crude.
Yeah, makes sense. And Trader Academy in the chat says he would say gold is in a perfect spot to short. And I'm kind of in that same boat. So if we switch over to my charts here that we could see, this is a daily chart, and we're in a bullish market in gold.
Mm-hmm.
There's no questioning that. It's been going up and to the right. So it's, once again, it's so hard for me to short. I don't know. You could imagine this is probably about a 50% retracement. You could pull a fib. That looks like it was a 50% retracement. But then as we start to zoom in, say a 60-minute chart, it's looking a little bit tempting to short, especially at this area, because very similar to gold, even though if we zoom out, we could say that there is an argument to say there is a it's still in a bullish market. We did break lows, right? Like this was a low, this was the highs, the double top, you could say. We broke below that, we went up, tested it, and now we made technically a lower low and a higher high. So we've rallied there today. We've rallied at this area, 2340, 2330, 30s basically. And the way that I'm looking at this is this could be a good opportunity to take a short, where there was a lot of support here. April 25th, 6th, 8th, over the past week, this was a great area for support and resistance. We did sell off. We've rallied right back up into that area. So if we're looking in terms of a risk reward aspect, in terms of risk management, because we are all risk managers, then yeah, I would definitely say that if we're looking in that type of a lens, then taking a short in this zone, having a stop loss, like there is a way to manage a trade like this. Having good risk reward, and I would say I'm a bear. I do believe that we could get a pullback, and just based off a pure technical standpoint, I do like short gold in this aspect.
Yeah. I think, and I think a lot of times what happens with my trading, my analysis, like I said, I'm looking for that 2350 area. We may not get there, right? And the market might go without me. I like the area that you're looking in right now. It looks like rejection. We got a question from Ali Kara. And do you reference the dollar index for risk on, risk off trades on the indices? I don't personally, but if I hear someone mention it, then I know what it means, right? If the dollar is rallying, then I might be looking to short gold, short the indices, but I don't personally pay attention to it. What about you, Dakota?
I do not. It's important. It's an important thing to watch and know and understand. But does it directly affect whether I buy or sell? No. I do know some traders that they use it as a strong indicator on that, and they do really well. So, is it 100% correct? I can't say yes or no. It's very important, but it's not something that I affect. That affects my trading to the extent whether I am getting in or out based off of that. It's just too many things, right? And you hear me say it probably more than everybody here watching. Is I keep things as super simple.
Simple.
The simpler I can make it, the less things that I need to pay attention to, then the more I could focus on just managing my risk, placing trades, getting in and out of the markets.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and we have about 20 minutes left. Let's end it on the beautiful Nikkei. I'm going to switch over to your charts. You have the Nikkei, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to ask you a couple questions on the Nikkei, and then I'll leave it up to you. And then we'll do a brief 5-10 minute Q&A with everybody here that is watching. So there you go. Switch to your charts. So, Coach Jay, have you placed any trades on the Nikkei? What's your thoughts on the Nikkei? I know you like to trade volume and order flow. The Nikkei has a very thin order book. It's $25 per tick. It's kind of a little bit bigger for a lot of traders. I typically don't recommend it, but something I do trade and I do watch. So what's your thoughts on it? Have you placed a trade? And go through that.
Yeah, so I have placed trades on the Nikkei. And everything you just said is why I would suggest newer traders maybe not trade it, right? Thin order books, it doesn't trade a whole lot of volume. So 1,000 contracts can move this market a ton. But if I'm going to trade it, I haven't been using my normal order flow trading style, right? Because of the thinner order books, the lower volume. I try to identify levels that the market can potentially trade to. And I would say I'd probably trade this more like Dakota than myself, right? Where I'm looking at an area of support or resistance. and trying to take trades around there. But I've probably taken 10 trades total in the Nikkei. But a market is a market, right? And a chart is a chart. I think technical patterns, if you know what you're looking for from a technical perspective, you can apply it to any chart. It's and then you have to understand that market's personality. Does that fit with your account size, right? I think if they were micro Nikkei contracts, that would be great for a lot of our traders, especially trading overnight. That's where most of the volume is going to come in. But there are opportunities, right? I think you've had some traders say they pass combines just trading the Nikkei, which is amazing, right? It's one thing me and Coach Paul want to focus on a lot is there being opportunity in other markets. Doesn't always have to be the Nasdaq, ES, gold, right? I'm in a Japanese yen short right now, and the Nikkei kind of fits in that. I'm looking to short it. Go ahead, Dakota.
You just want to short everything, huh?
I just want to short everything.
I mean, I would approve the short, right? Essentially, every time we've got a little bit of a pop here on the Nikkei, it's been followed off by sellers, and we have been essentially just making lower lows, and we're making lower highs. So I wouldn't be opposed to a short here on Nikkei. Yeah, I had a short last night on Nikkei, and it worked out really well. That's where I made, I think, like about $2,000, $2,500 on a short last night. So there's an example. As much as I want to say I'm a perma bull, and I look through through my eyes and the lens of where do I buy this? If a setup does show itself and I like it, I will take it, and because I'm a trader at the end of the day. So I like a short here. Unfortunately, I do think that this isn't really the area to short it, just because we're right in the middle, right? Last night, this is where we were. We were right in the middle. Yeah, I don't want to even trade tonight, to be honest. As much as I'm going back through all these markets, I was like, we do have tomorrow. Tomorrow we do have some news, and then we have non-farm payroll on Friday, and leaning on that. I think I'm going to be passing that short because this will feel like it's forced, and there's not really any strong resistance from a technical aspect to say short this. Maybe if we get up to 38,450, maybe back up into these highs.
Much better area up there. Yep.
We would start getting into that risk reward where I'm thinking, okay, the risk reward's a lot better. Maybe I start thinking about a short from that aspect. And then vice versa, maybe and it looks like it might have already played out on a smaller time frame. This was support. And I guarantee you, look at this. That pullback.
You're not sharing your charts, Dakota. I have the hourly up, but if you want to share your charts.
So there we go. So here's my charts. Let me get this. There we go. So look at this. So this was support. This was support at about noon before FOMC, and we had that rally up right as soon as we opened during the Asian session. We had that nice pullback. That probably would have been where I would have taken a trade. And if we zoom in, it probably would be a lot more clear. Yeah, that was the trade right there. That pullback to this support area. I mean, look at that. That would have been absolutely beautiful buying at the support on this type of a market. So unfortunately, I wasn't watching my screen at the time. It spilt milk, to be honest. That's okay. We'll see. I'm going to wait. I'm not going to be placing a trade tonight, guys. I think that's as much as I want to worry, because we're kind of in the middle in pretty much all markets. If anything, a short gold was the most attempting or most appealing to me tonight. Other than that, the Nasdaq, yeah, we'll just wait and see. And there's nothing wrong with just sitting on our hands, wait. We'll see what happens between now and to tomorrow, and see if there's some other opportunities to go from. And I would much rather keep the money in my account rather than try and force any type of risk.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. There's a ton of opportunity. we got 2 days left. Even if you don't take a trade today at all, right? We still have Friday, ton of opportunity. Dakota, if you can bring up my charts one more time, I just want to
Yeah.
show something with the Nikkei. And I talked about this on fast markets as well, but I think it can apply to really any market. We have, and I'm looking at the Nikkei on a 3-minute chart, which why you're looking at a 3-minute chart, half the time it doesn't have any data. But for whatever reason, 3 minutes makes sense to me as far as market movement. We have the Globex open, which is 6 p.m. Eastern time last night. And if we look at that range, right, and you can do this pretty much any market open. Anyone who's been in any of my classes, you kind of know exactly what I'm doing here right now. You have the range, and then you anchor VWAP to that range. And as it's leaving the range, right, now this is telling me that buyers are in control, right? In a market that trades less volume, there are still buyers and sellers, right? So this is telling me that buyers are in control right now. And we can see it every time we come down to that VWAP. It is supporting the market. This VWAP continues to hold, and sorry if you hear my dogs barking, but if this VWAP continues to hold, it's a buy until I think we get up to that level, like you were saying, 38.40, 38.450, and then maybe looking to short up there.
Interesting. Yeah, I think we're both in conclusion, right? You have a short on the Japanese yen. How's that working out? Let's touch base on that, and then we'll do some Q&A. We'll do some Q&A for some traders here. I'll go over my trading. I'll pull up my trade statistics because it seems like everybody loves to find out how I'm doing before they find out tomorrow during Topstep TV.
Yeah, so this yen trade is working out pretty well. I did move my stop into the profit. So the least I'm going to make on this trade is $106. I also pulled my profit target down. I normally don't trade with a profit target, but like I was saying, I was thinking about falling asleep with this trade on. So I would hate for it to come down to this level and not make any money and then come back and only make $100 on it. But yeah, it's working out pretty well. In the back of my mind, I still have that Japanese consumer confidence number at 1 a.m. Eastern. Still got a couple hours to that, so I think the market may be waiting for that. But as of right now, it's working out.
Nice. Yeah, we got a couple traders. It sounds like I sound 5 years older. I mean, that's what happens when you've lived through an FOMC day. It's just so crazy. 300 points up, 300 points down makes me. I've been through it.
Yeah, it's a lot of grays under this hat for that reason.
A lot of grades. Danielle's in the chat. She said she's going to institute a new fine for the mute button. $5 for barking. I think D's going to be completely bankrupt if you institute that fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my trading this week, Coach Jay, I'm up $323.
$323 more than you started the week with.
$300. Yep. Which I'm extremely ecstatic about. And if you don't believe that, Monday I started the week off plus $5,800. The Tuesday I took a daily loss limit of 9,000 because I have an extended daily loss limit. This is the day I finished the day with $5,600 or $4,600. So
nice.
I think that's a great example, and a lot of traders don't realize this, that you cannot always be at your high watermark.
Tough to do.
Just like the markets, equity curves go up and down. Hopefully it's up and to the right as well. But you should be happy with $300 because there's always a story. Like at the end of the week, if I'm up $300 after going through a hell of a week, then I will take it. There's some traders somewhere. Who said that? There's a trader somewhere that wishes they didn't trade.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, you made $300, so the way the market works, it balances out. Someone lost 300 and probably more.
Yeah, I'm excited for Shoulder Tap tomorrow. I'm going to be tuning in to hear from Mick to see what happened. I mean, I could only imagine all the traders here at Topstep on like how that FOMC treated them. I know there's going to be some traders in an express funded account who caught the top or caught a huge move and copy trade it or vice versa. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm happy I stayed out of most of it. I ended the day positive. That's all I can ask for. And tomorrow's a new
Absolutely.
day.
Yep. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to
there we go.
tomorrow. Will you still get
Travis
some
Jones.
volatility? Go ahead.
Yeah, Travis Jones says he was down $700 on an XFA and got to $7 up and felt great. Yeah, that kind of really shows you it puts in perspective. $7 positive means a whole lot more after you've been down $700 versus like, oh, I'm starting out a new trading day and you made $7. So $7 means a lot more depending on how the journey to get to that leading up to it is.
For sure. Got a question from a worldwide worker here. Coach Jay, do you have a general risk limit per trade? I try to be somewhere uh, near $300 per contract, depending on what market I'm trading, right? If it's the Nasdaq, I was keeping that a lot tighter. I was around 10 points, which is $200. But when you're setting your risk, you want it to make sense for the market that you're trading, right? 10 points on the Nasdaq is pretty tight. So I opened that up to 20. So if that means that for some of the trades that I'm taking, if I have to trade micros in order for it to fit the market and my account, then that's what I have to do. But generally, it's around $300 per contract per trade.
Nice.
What about you, Dakota? You have a general risk for your trades, or?
Yeah, it's about 375 per trade. It depends on the account size.
Yep.
Usually about 0.25% of my account size is what I like to risk.
Makes sense.
Just going through some of these questions. Let's see. One thing I do want to mention on the Nasdaq, and if we could pull up, it's on your charts. If you want to pull up the Nasdaq for
Gotcha.
Coach Jay,
What time
I
frame?
think it doesn't matter. That time frame's good. I think the
Cool.
high and low of today's session is going to be a great marker for which direction the market wants to go. So if the inside, if I wake up tomorrow, if we are still inside that, I'm going to be considering that inside price action, just consolidation until we break the high or until we break the low. So it's going to be very hard for me to trade in any particular direction while we stay inside that range of the high and the low of that FOMC. So I think that's a good thing to point out before ending it here tonight, is that any price action until we break the high or the low, I'm going to be looking at as consolidation, and I'm going to be treating it as in like a range bound trading.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. Yeah. Ton of volume here. I wouldn't. Tomorrow's like a digestion day, right? The market's trying to figure out what just happened. We're still digesting some of that news, and we have more news coming out. I would agree with you, Dakota. If we don't see volume push through the lows or the highs, trade it like a range bound market and fade the extremes until it breaks.
Yeah, we might just start and finish tomorrow inside that range, and we might not push outside that range until Friday. Yeah, it could be one of those just really choppy days. Everyone waiting for non-farm payroll, waiting for a sense of the direction, because they're all in the same boat as us. Which way is the market going? Like, where are we thinking? Everyone still has the fear, higher for longer. But then, other traders are like, well, you have to buy it eventually, right? Because everybody that gets a paycheck has to put money into the markets.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
I think that's it, guys. I always wanted to finish it off here. Topstep doesn't get enough love. I'm in terms of, I don't know if Danielle's still in the chat. If you could drop that Trustpilot rating. I went in, I updated my rating. I gave Topstep a 5-star. They've been amazing. They've allowed, people like myself and you, Coach Jay, to be able to help traders out. Hopefully coach through these times to where, you learn on the simulated environment, risking very little money, and you're able to go through and become, hopefully a consistent trader. And then at one point, maybe you want to go out and open up your own account in your own personal and do it on your own. This is a whole lot better than what I learned on. So There it is. Thank you, Daniel. I wanted to leave it at that. Hopefully, I'm feeling better tomorrow. I actually do have some Campbell's chicken noodle soup that I'm going to be getting here in just a minute.
Nice.
That, some NyQuil, and probably get some good rest.
Yeah, definitely get some rest, man. You are a trooper for being on really all day. So props to you, and thanks to the whole Topstep team, everyone in the chat, and thank you, Dakota, for having me on tonight. This was fun. We got to do it again. We can get Andre in here and with the keys to the house and see what we can do.
Yeah. We finally got the audio working. Okay, 2 people. I got the audio with 2 people. If we throw another person in the mix, I don't know how that's gonna go.
Let's get this show going.
let's get. I'm gonna be having a guest on a lot more frequently. I've enjoyed it. I've had to talk a little bit less, which has been nice. We could have this back and forth. It's been fun, and I will see you Friday morning, Coach Jay, and we'll tear it up Friday morning. Hopefully in the house account and in our own accounts, and we'll go from there.
All right, everybody, have a good night.
Thanks. See you, buddy.